Hey, what is going on, guys, and welcome to the video. Now, the vehicle I've got for you today is a 2008 Pontiac Torrent that was recently repossessed by the bank, and the previous owner left quite a mess behind. Okay, just before I show you what's waiting inside this vehicle, I'll show you around the filthy and decrepit exterior, and it's pretty clear this thing hasn't been taken care of in any way, as the paint is really dull and faded, and is even peeling away in a number of spots, so it's safe to say the exterior needs some serious work. But moving inside, and boy did I ever get a surprise when I opened the door, the whole vehicle is just packed full of garbage. So with it basically being treated as a garbage dump, you can imagine what things are going to look like underneath it all. We can get a glimpse of it on the back seat and in the driver's footwell, and it's just downright nasty. But just before I dive into this colossal pile of garbage, take a second and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. That way you'll never miss out on any of these epic transformations. Okay guys, well I am definitely curious to see how good I can get this Pontiac looking today. So as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the transformation. Alright, well, getting to work on the pre-wash rinse now, and as you saw in the opening, the paint on this Pontiac is in pretty bad shape, so I'll have to be very careful today around the areas where it's peeling so I don't make it any worse, which means backing off on the pressure washer when I go over those spots. And I wanted to say that if ever there was a video you should stick around right to the end, this is it. The transformation this vehicle makes was truly miraculous. Okay, working my way around the Torrent, and to give you some background on the vehicle, like I mentioned in the opening, the vehicle was recently repossessed by the bank and sold at a local auction in an as-is condition, and obviously the new owner picked it up pretty cheap. But as for his plans with it, I believe he intends to keep the vehicle now that the mess inside will be cleaned up, but I suspect he could probably make a few bucks if he decided to sell it, as it's definitely going to appreciate in value significantly after I'm done with it today. Now to tackle these dirty wheels, I'm first spraying on some of my Detail Geek wheel and tire cleaner, and then I'll use a variety of brushes to agitate and remove any dirt, tire blooming, and brake dust from the wheels, nearly all of which are available on my website at detailgeekautocare.com, as is the wheel and tire cleaner, which you can also dilute down to 2:1 if your wheels don't happen to be quite as dirty as these ones are, so feel free to give those a look. Alright, with the vehicle washed and dried, it's time to start on the floor mats, but the only problem is that most of them are buried underneath piles of garbage, so I'll spend a few minutes now and get most of the big garbage removed, along with all the french fries and half-eaten donuts on the seats. And thankfully the weather has been cold recently, because almost all the cups in here were full of either coffee, Slurpee, or some other liquid, and would have made quite a mess on the carpets if they had a chance to melt. Then with some of the mats removed, we can have a quick look at what we're dealing with, and just as I suspected, it's pretty bad. So I'll continue digging my way to the other floor mats, and then once I've found and removed them all, I'll get to work on blasting them clean with the pressure washer. Okay, with the mats clean, I'll quickly get the front seats removed after disconnecting the battery. And once I've got them out, you can see that not surprisingly, there was even more dirt, debris, and garbage underneath them. And then I'm also taking things a step further here and removing the center console as well, because with the design of it, I was pretty sure there was going to be a bunch of spills and debris underneath. And sure enough, I was right. And if you're curious on how much garbage I pulled out of here, well, it was a solid 1.5 bags. working my way around with the vacuum, and while Pontiac and quality aren't necessarily two things you hear in the same sentence very often, the quality of carpet in this Pontiac is really good. Makes sense though, as it's from the era of good carpet, so that's making it really easy to vacuum, and I already know that getting all the nasty stains and grime out of the carpets won't be a challenge either. Okay, starting in the driver's footwell, and it's time for this week's members question, which comes from Martina, and it's, what was the grossest thing you found in a vehicle? Now, I'll start by saying that if you've watched my videos for a while, you'd know that I've pulled some pretty interesting and nasty things out of vehicles over the years, but the two nastiest things I've ever found were a vomit-covered floor mat from the Chrysler Town & Country that was hiding in the trunk, and then a used and bloody tampon that I found in the Dodge Caravan from last week. And while both of those things are disgusting in their own way, I have to give the nod to the used tampon because I just don't understand how that ends up in a vehicle in the first place. Okay, it's time to get to work on all these dirty and stained seats, and as you can see, I'm opting to use my medium green drill brush today, as some of the stains look to be pretty embedded and will need the extra persuasion to loosen them up. And as you guys have seen me do many times before, I'll repeat the process as many times as necessary until they're as perfect as I can get them. Moving down to the carpets, and if you noticed earlier when I removed the passenger side floor mat that there was a big pink blotch on it, well, that's because something had obviously been spilt in here that discolored the carpet mat and the carpet underneath. So while it's unfortunate I can't make them look new again, I will at least ensure that it's as clean as possible. And oddly enough, this isn't the first time I've seen discolored or bleached carpet in a vehicle. The Chevy Trailblazer I detailed 3 times had battery acid spilled in it, and it was quite the sight. Now up here in the driver's footwell where the dirt is super embedded and there's even some salt stains to deal with, the green drill brush is the best way to get that loosened up, though I will have to repeat the process as it's incredibly dirty. But for the footrest portion, the carpet is actually so worn that it's thinning out and you can see a bit of the carpet backing underneath. So as much as I don't like it, I do have to resign myself to the fact that sometimes vehicles are too damaged to make them look new again. Here's the entire bucket full of nasty water pulled from the Pontiac today. Gross. Now getting to work on the interior trim, and I wanted to show you 2 different ways you can clean the plastics in your vehicle, with the first being to spray 10:1 APC on a slightly damp microfiber towel, wipe the panel down, and then take a separate dry towel and go over it again to ensure any APC residue is wiped off. You can also agitate with a boar's hair detail brush in the crevices if needed, and this is a great way to do it if you don't have a steamer or if it's not all that dirty. And then of course the other method would be to spray the APC on the panel, steam the entire thing, blast out the crevices, use a slightly damp towel to wipe off the APC, and then a dry one for the final wipe. Okay, with the interior clean now, I'll get to work on applying 303 to all the plastics in here, leaving them with a nice deep matte finish that looks incredible. Here's a quick shot of what the interior looked like just a few hours ago, and boom, it looks brand new again. Moving outside, and to restore some gloss and depth to this faded black paint, I'm applying some of my Detail Geek synthetic paint sealant, which is going to leave this paint with a hydrophobic layer of protection for about 6 months, and a brilliant shine that is sure to turn heads. Okay, second last step now is to dress all the exterior plastics with 303, and in a matter of 2 minutes, the trim is UV protected and looking insanely good.
Alright guys, well after 11 hours of intensive work, the Pontiac is looking spectacular. It is ready for a new life with a new owner. Now, if you guys enjoyed watching this transformation, make sure you smash the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on a future video. Enjoy the guitar outro, and I'll see you guys in the next one.